Morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us again on this webinar on OCS360. This week we'll be looking at alarming notifications. As usual, feel free to put in questions at any point and we'll get to them at the end.
Hello and welcome to today's webinar. Today we will look at alarming and notifications in OCS 360. Let's look at our agenda for today. We are going to start with a quick review of OCS 360, and then we are going to look at how OCS 360 generates alarms and how OCS 360 handles notifications. And there will be demonstrations throughout, and we will finish with a Q&A session. Here is a review of OCS 360 Cloud Service. It is a new cloud service from Horner Automation, making it as easy as possible to push data from a Horner OCS to the cloud. And we happen to use a special version of MQTT. Since we have a Horner device talking to a Horner cloud, we are able to do that, and there is no setup required. Now, the core functions of OCS 360 are data recording up to 5 years. That is important because you want to analyze what is going on historically with your process or your machine so you can make improvements. And there is also dashboarding, which we covered last week, and alarm annunciation and notifications, which we are covering this week. Now, if you would like to support OCS 360, you would need a Prime or a Canvas controller. Both of these series completely support OCS 360. Let's take a look at how alarms work. The main application, which we have highlighted there in the center of the screen, it is continuously receiving pushed variables data from OCS controllers in the field. Now, as data comes in, the main application of OCS 360 is comparing those variable values against a pre-configured alarms. And if anything needs to be updated on the alarm side, then it will update the web-based alarm page and it will generate any notifications that have been specified. So that is all done by the main application from a notification standpoint. We then move on to the main application passing information to those messages can be generated and passing those along to a third-party managed services for email generation as well as text messages or SMS generation. Even though the messages are triggered by those third-party services, no private information is sent to the third party, only enough for the transactional message, whether it to be an email or a text or both. For our demonstration, we are going to start by looking at how to set up alarms and set up notifications with OCS 360. Let's start by taking a quick look at what we have done on our demo program. So here is a look at the bench with our XLW Prime. We have added a test button here for testing alarms. So let's navigate. We have got a new screen here and we'll have the ability, if we go into alarm test modes, to be able to simulate high pressure, critical pressure, and normal pressure. None of these alarms are set up OCS 360 yet, but if we hit the simulate high pressure button, then we get a pressure value of 69, which is above the threshold, and also some flashing indicators here. If we want to simulate critical pressure, the only real difference is the value, as you can see, of 72 in this case. And then if we want to go back to normal, then we can just go back to normal. Now we are back here on the OCS 360 looking at our dashboards. This is the dashboard we built last week. OCS 360 has been visually logging data. If we take a look at the process history, we can see some actual data here, and you can see the trending that occurred over the last week or two. Today we are going to talk about alarms and notifications. We are going to start out by creating some alarms. So to do that, we need to go to device profile and let's click on our default device profile. And then to start the process of creating alarms, we need to go to the alarm rules tab. There are no alarm rules yet. We need to create some. So let's hit the edit button and add an alarm rule. So whenever we add a new alarm, the first thing we are going to do is configure the message that we want displayed when the alarm occurs. Let's go ahead and create a high pressure alarm. Let's type in some text here. Pressure has reached a high level. That is what we're going to put for the message. The text that we want displayed, that is under the alarm type. Then we want to categorize this. This is a critical alarm. All the way down to the indeterminate and warning and minor and major. What we are going to do here is we are going to put this as a major alarm on that particular scale you just looked at. This is how we're going to classify it. You can classify your alarms any way you would like. Once we have done that and picked from the severity, the next step is we need to add our rule condition. Let's hit the plus button here to add our rule condition. Let's add a key filter. Under the key filter, this pull down list here, we need to select time series. That is the first step. And then under the key name, our list of variables should pop up. The variables that are being pushed by the OCS. This is our pressure based alarm. We are looking at a numeric value with this pressure variable. This is the value type that we want to specify here. Now we have to add a filter, and in this case we want to create an alarm that indicates we have high pressure, but it is not a critical alarm. Let's say the first condition is if the value of pressure is greater or equal to 69, that is going to be our level that we are going to set it to. We're going to go ahead and add another test. So that has to be true, and the value needs to be less than 72 because this is the level or the range of values at which it considers to be a major alarm, but not a critical alarm. Let's hit add. We have got everything configured here. The pressure has reached a high level. Here is our filter. Let's hit the check mark here to apply our changes. We have added to our list an alarm rule that pressure has reached a high level. Let's go ahead and add another one. Let's go back into edit mode and add another alarm rule. This one we are going to say pressure has reached a dangerous level. That is the message we want to display, and let's call this one a critical one. Now let's add the key filter, time series, name of variable, which is still pressure. It is still a numeric, and we are adding the fact that it needs to be greater than or equal to 72. That is the level we are calling a critical level. Anything higher or equal to that, and hit add. Because that is complete, and let's hit save. Now we have two alarm rules that we have created. Pressure has reached a high level, and pressure has reached a dangerous level. Now let's test this and make sure it is going to work for us. Let's go to the new test screen. We are in alarm set mode, and let's simulate a high pressure alarm. So the next transmission of our controller to OCS360, we should get an alarm condition enunciated on the OCS360. Let's go back to OCS360. Now let's go to the alarms area, and here is our enunciation. We have pressure has reached a high level, considered a major severity, and that is how we classified it. Now we can go ahead and assign this particular alarm condition. We can also see what the status is, and we can go in and change the status. So we want to acknowledge this alarm. We click on the three dots over here, and we can go ahead and acknowledge that particular alarm. You can also add a comment if you would like. Let's close that. Now our status has changed to active and acknowledge, and then the next step for us would be once the alarm condition is no longer in effect, then we can go ahead and clear that alarm. Let's go back to our bench, and let's go back to the test area. We are going to simulate normal pressure. That puts it back to a normal level. So if we go back to the OCS360 and assuming that the alarm condition is no longer active, or at least it's certainly no longer going in the machine. Now if we go ahead and clear that alarm, then it is not going to come back again, because the alarm condition is still occurring on the equipment. So that is a quick look at creating a couple different alarm conditions and also just quickly verifying those. For the next part of our demonstration, we are going to demonstrate notifications. So we have seen that you can have alarms notified on the screen, but what about emails and text messages? So let's set that up. We are going to start by going to the notification center, and the first thing we have to do is navigate to the rules tab. And there is one thing we are checking here. We want to check for a new alarm. We want to make sure that this slider is in the on position. That means that the notifications for a new alarm is enabled. This is what we want. So we just need to verify that it should be in the on position. But let's just make sure. Next we are going to go to the templates and we are going to look for a new alarm notification under templates. Now this is where we configure our information here in terms of a notification side of things. So by default, web is enabled and we have already seen an alarm notification on the web interface. Because we dealt with that the last time we generated an alarm condition, let's go ahead and add email or SMS or text messages. And let's go ahead and configure all this. We will hit the next button and then by default, this is the information that shows up on our web application under alarm. It says, hey, you have got a new alarm. And then the alarm will appear inside these single quotes that are for each alarm. The first thing you can configure is the field called alarm type, which is basically the text that you want to appear here. Then the message itself, we have saw severity detailed critical major here. Critical major were the two that we were using. You also get which entity is originating the alarm, which OCS and its name. So we do not have anything else we need to do for that. We can just hit next. Now we are configuring the email side of things. We need to fill in a subject and a message. Let's go back here to the same information that we saw on the web interface. Let's just copy it here. So under subject, we will paste the information and it will go back again, and under messages, just do a copy. Let's paste the same information into the body of the message. So our subject is going to be a new alarm and alarm type. And then we have gotten additional details here in the message body for an email text. We need to configure the text message. Let's just copy what we have already copied. And now that we have pasted in the same information that was in the body of our email, that is the information that is going to be text to you. Let's hit the save button. The next time we have an alarm condition, we are not only going to get the information on the web section of the alarms, we are also going to get an email as well as a text message. Let's go ahead and generate another alarm back at our test screen, simulating a high pressure again. Now back to the OCS360. Let's head over to the dashboard to see if we have gotten the information in yet. We will go to gauges. There we got the higher level. Our annunciation says new alarm pressure has reached a higher level. Now let's see if we got an email and a text message. Let's start by checking email. New alarm pressure has reached a high level. It is a major alarm and the originator is epoxymatic. Now let's take a look at the text message and see if we have got the same information, and there is a severity major originator device epoxymatic. That concludes our webinar for today. Thank you so much for listening, and the Q&A session will begin shortly.
Okay, so that was alarming and notifications. I don't see any questions as yet on that, but again, feel free to come to tech support if you do have questions on this. Next week we will follow on with OCS360 again with downloading data. So if you want to register for that, the links are up on the web as usual. I've still not seen anything come in on that, so I guess we can leave it there. Thank you all for joining, and we'll see you next time.